Good afternoon, everyone. It's Jerry here, and today is tea time, and it's very warm here, so I've been having iced tea, and I'm going to be doing, this is a working tea time today, because I'm going to show you some cool things that we can do together and as a family, your family at home, and together as friends, or your neighbors even. Last time I showed you how to make an egg tree for inside, which you see over to your right. And today I have arranged, there's a wonderful egg and sausage recipe, which I will be glad to share with you at some point. If you request it, I can put it on my Glimfeather post. It's good to use what you have, and one of the things I would encourage you to use imaginative containers. To the right is a beautiful Victorian chinoiserie small miniature vase, and somebody gave me some really wonderful daffodils. It was a surprise. It was on the porch. I still haven't figured out who it is. Nobody will admit to it. So it was a wonderful thing. It was on Sunday, Palm Sunday. The far right is the chinoiserie. Next to it is a 18th century, I am not sure if it was whiskey or port. I think maybe port. Maybe if any of you know what it is, it's a hand-blown glass from an 18th century estate as a gift to me. Thank you, Eric, for your comment. And I just hope that today will offer everyone a sense of peace. I've needed it myself, and we need to have perspective and to focus on the good, the true, and the beautiful. The true includes disease, but the true also includes God's love and His presence with us. And it's a sacred space of nature where we really experience His presence, not inside a church. And I'm hoping that one of the things that comes out of this is that we begin to become less modern and go back to the early pilgrims' understanding of sacred space. I keep repeating this, but it's worth saying, especially today, because I'm kind of at a limit for being in the house. It's just driving me absolutely nuts. And I kind of go high and low every day. I wake up feeling really good, and by afternoon I'm in the pits again. And even if you have people around you, it's claustrophobic, and I really think with the few people I've talked with, I don't think we'll ever go back to the way we were. And some of it is good, because early pilgrims on the pilgrimage to Constantinople understood that going into a church was not going into the basilica, the Compostela went to St. James Basilica in Spain from France. Anyway, they had chapels just like the Franciscans a day's walk away. And I just happened to read this random thing when God was showing me sacred space on the top of St. Francis Hermitage on the top of the mountain in Assisi. And they said that the pilgrims understood the sacred space to be the creation that they walked in during the day. And I've been trying to emphasize that a bit here and there about the sacred space outside. The creation is where God dwells, and we will have upcoming after Easter a wonderful symposium. I'm just putting it together. It's the revival of the Washington Arts Group, and it'll be online. It'll be like a Zoom conference, and you'll all be able to join it, or at least listen to it. And Josh King, who is a professor at Baylor University, head of his department in English literature, is writing a book, and one chapter is on Wordsworth, the man with the shell and stone, on his gardens. And we're going to have a symposium looking at incarnational presence in nature. An associate of mine, my partner in a joint business called Mud in Your Eye, Mud Eye Creative, designs gardens, and he will be talking about that and reflecting on what Josh presents to us. Included in the discussion will be Ed Nippers, whose work I shared a bit with last night and interviewed him yesterday afternoon. Just to make a note, on Good Friday we will not be broadcasting. Easter Saturday I will be broadcasting at 3 from Ed's studio, and both tomorrow and Saturday are special occasions for reaching out to our community here at Trinity Episcopal Church. It will be, we already are including them, but these broadcasts will be tomorrow. I'll be surveying some of the details in the church, some of the symbolic things that Mrs. Mellon put there. It's an amazing source of Celtic spirituality and ancient cathedrals, as well as an installation in remembering our yearly 12-hour prayer vigil of intercessory prayer in the sanctuary. It goes all night from about dusk, about 7 in the evening, till 7 or 8 in the morning. And last year we had prayer stations. I installed prayer stations in different places in the church, and I'm hoping to have 2 of those up for you to see tomorrow. But of course there will be no one in there. It's just me. And I just want to do that to inspire our congregation, as well as to invite you all to come and experience the wonderful celebration and community that's here, as well as the outdoor garden. There are 40 acres of outdoor gardens and fields, and I can't broadcast from very far into it, but I'm going to show you some as I go tomorrow. Maybe this evening, actually, if I can, and maybe read. I'm on chapter 3 of The Horse and His Boy, and I hope to read it by campfire. If not out in the outdoor chapel, I will be reading it here in my out in my patio by the campfire with some friends that will gather to hear the story. On Holy Saturday in the evening, I will be kind of surveying the things that we can do for Easter. One of the things is to have children build a garden tomb, and I will show you how to do it. We first got the idea from Maria von Trapp's, Twyla did, from Maria von Trapp's book on Easter traditions in Austria. So before you hear, I have a collection of interesting crosses, which I explained yesterday, the day before. I'm losing track. I think it was the day before. And in front of you are white eggs, which are the best to dye. And on Saturday, I will explain red and white eggs and the whole egg tradition that comes from the East, from the Orthodox Church. So that will be Saturday at 7. We will not have a reading of The Horse and His Boy, but I will be going over some final things, including outdoor decorations around the house for, whoops, my cat just came up. Punky, excuse me, everybody. Sorry about that. Anyway, she wants to get in on the action. I think she thinks there might be a bird somewhere near the eggs. So today we're going to, hi Bobby, good to see you. Today I'm going to show you how to make something that I grew up with. I mentioned it. My German grandmother moved in with us when I was about 9, and she was interesting to say the least, but she knew some old traditions from the Victorian age that were purely German. One, I can tell you, at Christmas, the German, it's very, very funny, the German tradition of St. Nicholas got kind of bent with German discipline, and when St. Nicholas appeared on December 7th, the only thing that would happen is either you got the switch or you didn't if you were good. That was it. Not very many rewards. So anyway, thank goodness that tradition is gone. St. Nicholas, the tradition of St. Nicholas Day is amazing. It was the day that my really good friend and I were baptized, and we didn't realize it till much later, years and years apart, decades apart, and now we're working together in this garden art design. It's so exciting. I'll tell you more about that later. Mud-Eye Creative. So I showed you the rock in front by the rabbit. The rabbit is a wonderful cookie jar I found years and years ago at a gift shop in Georgetown. And the pot that the egg tree is in is a French cooking pot from Provence. It was a gift. And in the foreground, okay, in the back, there's a basket. It's actually it's like a Swiss basket that people, when they walk, Swiss walk and keep stuff in the basket. Like if they pick apples, they throw them in that and put the straps over their shoulder. And I'll show you that now. And this is to encourage you to find really interesting things that you can put flowers in. I thought this looked kind of nice, and you can just take what's around your house. Since we're all trapped, take what we have around our house, and maybe we have some daffodils. This is a Trickling Springs organic milk bottle, whole milk bottle that is they don't no longer exist. I'm really grieved that I kept one of the bottles. So you can take very ordinary things and use them, or exotic things that you wouldn't think of using for flower arrangements. I worked for a florist when I was a kid and did learn a few things. So this rock is really interesting, and I explained the pattern for those of you who didn't hear it. I saw this as I was walking, and I was praying about what I should do next. And I've been reading about Wordsworth and nature, and at my walk every day, it's about 2 miles every day in this one place. And as I said the other day, I go by this wonderful house on a hill, and the last time I was there, when I found this rock, the grass was blowing in the breeze, and every time I go there, I get a chill. I have some kind of revelation of God's presence in nature, and that day, I wasn't cold. That day, the grass was blowing in the breeze, and I don't know the exact psalm, but I remember one time having the same kind of numinous experience in Ireland, where there was a gale force wind and the trees seemed to be moving in chorus with each other. And it does say something like, let the trees of the fields clap their hands, and there's something else about grass. And that's what I thought when I saw that. And it repeated itself the other day. And the interesting thing is that the people who live there are just wonderful, wonderful believers. And it's just, I don't know what it is. There's something in the ground. There's something that God says about our creation and our blessing it. And you can tell that property has been blessed. So I found this rock, and if you look at the middle of it, like, let me, kind of right there, there are 2 branches. There's one main branch, and then 2 that branch off here and 2 there. And somehow it looked to me like the people that I love and their children, and how we're all in this together and should be praying for each other. And I don't know, it just spoke to me. And then I came back to find it, and I couldn't find it. I drove back. I had to wait till the next day. I finally figured out where it was. And when I picked it up, it was really startling, and I will show this to you. I'm going to pick it up. I don't know what I'm going to look like in the picture. On the end, it becomes a symbol of the Holy Trinity. And that's so interesting because I'll put it back and then I can talk to you. I mentioned it a bit. I'm going to mention it more. Steve and I are working on an installation with garden walls and artwork for the Mountaineer Recovery Center, which is up in West Virginia near Martinsburg. And I'm artist in residence, and he's gardener in residence, and we're designing the property. And we, wonderful artist, I don't have an example of it, and if I can get a good photo, I'll show it to you, or maybe go up there when things get better, of a cross made out of, looks like broken chains, and in the middle, it's hollow and backlit with the image of Christ with his arms stretched out in the cross beams. It is so moving, and I wanted to find a stone to go under it, and the state stone of one of the state stones of West Virginia is dolomite, and so I chose something like that, and I found this one that had 3 perfect stripes, just like this. So that's right under the cross. And the first time it was lit, there had been the morning there had been a call to prayer because one of the nurses' husband was burnt. There was an explosion, a gas explosion in a house, and he was burnt over, I think, about 85% of his body. They all went in to pray, and we turned on the lights, which were floodlights from above. There were spotlights from above. And it was completely unintended consequences. Of course, you know what that means. The shadows formed two of the most beautiful wings made out of shadows off the cross beams of the cross. It seemed to embrace Christ's body. And since then, I've put a amazing drawing of an enormous angel, I call him Michael the Archangel, on the opposite wall. And that appeared the day they were praying for the nurse's husband, and he's okay now. Brant Williamson, who's part of our congregation, I'll be making more references to our congregation and our property in the next few days, because some of these will be posted on our church website for people to look at, to get acquainted when they can't go in. It's a way to be reminded of what's inside. It's just our memory is going to get really quite twisted if we don't keep remembering what we know. Anyway, so today I'm going to make what I call a nest. I have to go back to I have a random mind. We were talking about St. Nicholas Day German. Well, there's a German tradition for making a nest to put out, the children to put out the night before Easter. And then on Easter morning, so the night before, they make a nest and they put carrots out for the rabbit. And then the next morning, something appears, and I'll show you and explain it, and it's really hilarious. So I'm doing just a small Easter bunny nest. These are river rocks, but you can do it out, and we used to use a lot bigger rocks and do it right on our front porch where I grew up. This is a small version of what you do, and I thought it would at least give you the idea. So you make a beautiful circle with natural rocks like this. This still has some mud on it. You are mud eye created, I know. This is actually a bread plate from France, and it says, "Give us this day our daily bread." It's from the Jura. It's a gift. All right, so now we have the circle of the nest. And what I've done here is clumps of sod, but you can just use mown grass, but none of my grass is mowed at the moment, or is it freshly mowed. So do this. This may be almost too much. Let me see if I can get it in there. There, it's not bad. Okay, so that's the way it should look. And then the night before, this is what you do. You're going to have to bear with me here because my hands are muddy and the carrots will get muddy. I don't want them to. So there you have garden nest for bunnies. We used to have rabbits in our hedge. We had a boxwood hedge, and I see them out here a lot in my backyard. So when I have children put carrots out, you can make a bigger one and have real carrots instead of these mini ones. That's one way. And if you want to be really creative, I'm sure that bunnies don't eat tomatoes, but it's kind of fun to use some, just to be imaginative. So there you can welcome the bunny and hope he shows up. course, that's up to the parents. So this is what we were told to do. And so every year I would get, as soon as I woke up, I wanted to go outside and see if the Easter Bunny came. Sometimes there was a stuffed bunny. I'll use this as a substitute, just whatever I have here. It's the Easter lamb, and he doesn't eat carrots. So then what would happen is, all these he will eat. The Easter Bunny eats all of these. Take them away, and I'll show you what happens. So in the morning when you wake up, guess what? For the longest time, I thought I couldn't figure out why bunnies didn't lay eggs. I never realized they were chickens. And Martin Townsend, our rector, he says, I think every child in the world thinks that on Easter morning. Anyway, this is a fun thing that you can do, and it's really wonderful with things that you have around the house. And I just want to encourage you to find creative, peaceful things that you can do with your grandchildren and your children, or even neighbor children, and maybe even organize an Easter egg hunt with a 6-foot rule, something like that. But those are some things to do. Yesterday we made crosses out of straw, palm branches. And on Saturday I will show you what I do around the door, something you can do for spring, not even just for Easter, but I usually started it for Easter Sunday and don't put it up until Easter Saturday night. And I will also show you how to make a garden tomb on probably, well, it'll be Saturday. Good Friday, I will not be here. Saturday at 3, I will be at the studio of Ed Nippers, and this is a special feature for our community and for all of you, my friends. We'll be previewing, actually, Ed's monumental painting that he's just finishing for Lent, and it's an Easter Saturday about what Christ did going down into hell on Saturday, Easter Eve. And I will show you how to, with the miniature garden tomb, I will show you how to make a Jesus wrapped in for burial and other things. But in any case, thank you so much for being with us today. And tonight I'll be reading outside by the campfire somewhere the next chapter of the Horse and His Boy. It's chapter 3. So thank you all for coming. Hurst, nice to see you. Joey, good to see you too. And I hope you all have a blessed day, and peace be unto you. It's something we need more than ever. Amen. See you tonight.